I might be the last person finding out about this, but I was scrolling through TikTok as I do at 2:45 a.m. and I found a video of Ed Sheeran partying with Ipswich Town players now that they've been promoted into the Premier League.
Driving at 90 down those country lanes.
And I thought it was just a bunch of guys partying because they are getting promoted with a guy who just likes to party, but that's not the case. Well, it might be, but Ed Sheeran's actually just a massive supporter of Ipswich Town. And when I say massive supporter, like he is diehard to the point where he sponsors their kits. He is the kit sponsor for the past few years. I had no idea that Ed Sheeran was even a football fan until about 25 minutes ago, which got me thinking about what are other celebrities that support big clubs or Premier League teams that I have no idea about. So I spent the last 20 minutes doing research about it, and it turns out there's a lot of them. It's a funny dynamic when your most famous fan is more famous than every single individual at your club combined. And I think that's true about Ed Sheeran and Ipswich Town. It's not quite true about Liverpool, a much bigger club with big names like Mo Salah, Van Dijk, and manager Jurgen Klopp is definitely a very household name at this point. But the most famous athlete involved with this club is actually not a footballer at all. It's LeBron James, and he is the most famous fan for Liverpool. Now, I wouldn't say that he's quite as big of a fan of Liverpool as Ed Sheeran is for Ipswich Town, but how can you deny it after such a convincing clip like this?
You a fan of his?
No, absolutely. And I saw a clip of that too. I didn't get an opportunity to actually see the game live, but I saw that he was able to score one in the match the other day, and I thought that was it's pretty unique, the fact that he would do that and then also be with Liverpool Football Club.
I agree, LeBron. That was super unique, and you have such a way with words. Now, LeBron James does have a 2% ownership in Liverpool, which doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that that was a $7 million investment that has probably only grown exponentially. Now, I'm also not fully convinced that he knows who Jordan Henderson is, but there are some other fans for Liverpool FC who probably could pinpoint Salah on the pitch if you needed them to, like Daniel Craig, Samuel L. Jackson, possibly even Lana Del Rey, who round out the most famous Liverpool supporters. And before we get to the next club, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because don't you want to tell your grandchildren that you were subscribed to Nitro Football before they hit 1,000 subscribers? Of course you do. Picking the most famous fan of Manchester United is a little bit more difficult because they are stacked with A-listers. Justin Timberlake is a Manchester United fan. Usain Bolt, the fastest person ever, is a Manchester United fan. Megan Fox is a Manchester United fan. Floyd Mayweather is a Manchester United fan. And I'm throwing in Stormzy. I think he is also probably A-list at this point. He is very famous, at least in the UK. That's a lot to choose from, and if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Usain Bolt is the most well-known name out of all of them, but that's quite a list to choose from. I just got to Arsenal, and unfortunately, I did not set any boundaries to what could potentially be criteria for most famous fan. And that's going to bite me in the butt right here, because I want to say that the most famous fan is Idris Elba, but I didn't say that the celebrity, and I use that term very lightly at this point in the video, had to be alive or dead, that he had to be loved or hated. The most famous Arsenal fan is Osama bin Laden. All right, fellas, we're talking household name, okay? All right, next club. Burnley Football Club may not be in the Premier League for too many more days, but we're throwing them on the list. And as much as I'd love to say Visa here, when the King of England is the fan of your club, you're gonna get second place. I mean, King Charles is a season ticket holder at Burnley Football Club. I'm not sure if he's there to see the first team or the U11s.
Whoa.
But either way, he's most definitely the most famous fan for Burnley. And another very famous fan or group of fans is Dude Perfect, who are actually part owners of Burnley Football Club. For a few of the mid-table clubs, it's a little bit easier to find who the most famous fan is because they don't have dozens of A-list celebrities just hopping on bandwagons supporting their club. Like for Newcastle, it's Ant and Dec, the comedy duo. For Brentford, it's Cameron Diaz. Probably? Maybe? I'm not actually sure if she's 100% a fan, but she did claim to be a fan at one point, though I'm not sure if she knows who Brian Mbeumo is. That's all I'm saying. For Brighton, it's going to be Fatboy Slim, who, to be honest with you, I did not know who that was before researching for this video. And then Simon Cowell actually also claims to be a Brighton fan, but I think he's a Fairweather fan, so we're putting Fatboy Slim in first. For Crystal Palace, the most famous fan is Liam Neeson. For Everton, it's Sylvester Stallone, and believe it or not, Margot Robbie is a big fan of Fulham, and so is my friend Jared. Manchester City are a massive club, but they really don't have that many celebrity fans. Then again, they don't have that many fans, so that could be a big reason for that. Nonetheless, Noel and Liam Gallagher are massive Manchester City supporters, and if you don't know who they were Oasis, the English duo who sang Wonderwall. That is a banger, and even though they absolutely hate each other, one thing they come together to love is Manchester City, and they were also fans before the financial takeover, so you can't call them bandwagon at all. West Ham have some very big fans as well, and the biggest of them all was Behzinga a few years ago, but after he slimmed down, you've got Russell Brand, and then maybe even more controversial than Arsenal's most famous fan, James Corden. You've also got Keira Knightley as a fan of West Ham, and Triple H, so you could honestly have your pick for most famous fan for West Ham. For me, I'm throwing probably James Corden as the biggest name there, but Russell Brand's my favorite, so yeah, you have your pick. Adele is a very famous singer and a famous fan of Tottenham Hotspur, but when Spider-Man is a fan of your club, you're coming second to that, all right? Tom Holland has mentioned several times in interviews that he is a fan of the North London club. Unfortunately for him, yeah, he's a fan of Tottenham. I mean, I don't know what to say. Bournemouth are one of the smaller clubs in the Premier League with one of the smaller stadiums as well, but Michael B. Jordan is one of the bigger stars to support any of the Premier League teams, and he is a part owner and fan of Bournemouth. But another actor who claims to be a fan of the Cherries is Seth Rogen, though I've found no evidence that he actually gives a crap or has made any trips to Bournemouth. I think he just said it once and completely forgot about it. To keep it on the theme of American actors, and honestly, there are quite a few on this list that we've already talked about, but Aston Villa have a top 5 actor of all time who's potentially a supporter of them. And when I say potentially, it's because I can't find any images of him actually supporting the club. Just claims that he supports the club, and that is Tom Hanks. And so he's kind of on the same vibe as Seth Rogen for Bournemouth. Is he a real fan, or should we actually give this title to Prince William, who you can see in Villa Park? The thing is, Margot Robbie is a fan of Fulham, and you can prove it through pictures and evidence that she's actually supporting Fulham, and that could be because her partner is a diehard Fulham fan, but it still counts. For Tom Hanks, I can't give it to him, all right? It's going to Prince William for Aston Villa. Chelsea actually might have the most famous supporters in the Premier League, starting with Will Ferrell, because he's not just a big Chelsea fan, he's a big football fan in general. He's in one of my favorite soccer movies of all time, which is Kicking and Screaming. And the reason I say soccer, if you have seen that movie, it's not a football movie. It's a soccer movie for sure. It could not be more American, but it's amazing. And he also helped start LAFC, the MLS football club in California, and he is a co-founder and co-owner of that team. He's just a he might be the most passionate fan on this list, but he's not the only big Chelsea fan, because you've also got Gordon Ramsay, who's a huge name, Jeremy Clarkson, also hilarious, Ellie Goulding, and Michael Caine. That's quite the list on up there in the box seats of Stamford Bridge, I'll tell you that. The tennis star Andy Murray actually wore a Wolves jersey to tennis training one time, which got picked up by the media and then picked up by Wolverhampton themselves, who ended up making him a custom kit and basically claiming him as a fan of the club more than Andy Murray even claimed to be a fan of the club. So this one is a real stretch, but other than that, there is also Robert Plant, who is a member of Led Zeppelin, so he's definitely a fan of Wolves, but not nearly as famous as Andy Murray. Luton Town of Alistair Cook, Colin Froch is Nottingham Forest, and Sheffield United, I couldn't find anybody. That's it. See you guys.